and Diane Deans are going to be the subject of a lot of reshuffling taking place there in Ottawa. And so I want to go through this in brief detail. This is what it looked like when Police Chief Peter Slawley resigned. You can see, remember a couple of these people, Diane Deans on the top left, we've got Carol Ann Meehan on the bottom right. And so these two people have been very, very aggressive towards the Freedom Trucker Convoy, saying that they should basically just be, eliminated, taken out. I mean, we talked about Carol Ann. She was literally begging Slawley to go out there and just start rounding people up. And so they were very excited when they were making this announcement, saying that Slawley was getting out of there. We're going to listen to this, and then we'll take a look at what else they're doing to sort of reconstitute the entire board.
On behalf of the Ottawa Police Services Board, I am announcing that today, Chief Peter Slawley and the Ottawa Police Services Board reached a mutually agreeable separation, and as such, Chief Peter Slawley is no longer employed with the Ottawa Police Service. We thank Chief Slawley for his service to the City of Ottawa. As this is a labor relations matter, no further comment will be made. Deputy Chief Steve Bell will be the interim chief until further notice. The board is already at work to put in place a new command structure and will be appointing a new chief very soon. The board's priority is to ensure a plan is put in place to bring about a peaceful end to the occupation of our city.
Wasn't so peaceful, was it?
As expeditiously as possible.
Now,
wasn't as exhibition-y as possible, too.
Initiated the Emergencies Act and gave himself a bunch of new powers. And
I got all the evidence, lady.
Slowly, as soon as he was sort of tossed to the curb, we saw some very aggressive maneuvering. We've seen basically the police armed with military gear going out and trampling protesters in Ottawa. And all of that suddenly changed after we had a changing of the guard.
Pausing this for a second. Those people that you've seen on the screen, here's a message to you. You are not above the law. Do you think you're not being monitored too? Not by me. Other people around the world. You're being monitored too. I wonder what secrets you have in your closets. How many transactions you guys have had illegally. Shall we check? Shall we dig? I don't know. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But you guys should be very well on alert that you're being monitored as well.
Gobbled up all sorts of additional powers. The statement that came out from Slawley was pretty basic, not too much interesting here. Says, I'm announcing I'm stepping down as Ottawa Police Service. I took the role on a challenge to deliver diversity. It's been a difficult journey. I'm proud of what we've done. Since the onset of this demonstration, I've done everything possible to keep the city safe and to put an end to this unprecedented and unforeseeable crisis. We now have acquired new resources and enforcement tools and stood up to the new integrated command center. I'm confident that the Ottawa Police Service is now better positioned to end this occupation. To the hardworking members of Ottawa, you got most thanks and whatever. To the people of Ottawa, all appreciating servicing you. Okay. And so not much there. But after he left, then we get a big change in direction. And even the deputy here from Justin Trudeau's office is kind of shocked that this happened the way that it did. Let's listen.
I've known Chief Slowley for 25 years. I've worked with him. He's a fundamentally decent man. He's with a very difficult job. And frankly, I'm very saddened by it. This turn of events, and at the same time, I think there is an important job yet to be done to restore order and provide effective policing services to the people of Ottawa. And I spoke to the mayor a little earlier, and we're all committed to ensuring that we serve appropriate people.
What is your understanding about why he resigned at this time in the middle of a crisis?
I have no insight.
What impact do you think it's going to have on the handling of it?
I think the institution of policing is important to the community. I think the people of Ottawa need to deliver effective police service, and I'm going to do everything we can as a government to support the City of Ottawa to ensure that the RCMP, the OPP, and other police services are here to help the Ottawa Police Services do the job. Again, I don't have any insight into the internal workings of the city or the police services, but we are all committed to do what is required.
Do you think is it happening? What are the times? Who's in charge? You think it's going to restore the confidence, the fact that he resigned?
And again, with great respect, the the situation internal to the Ottawa Police Service, the Ottawa Police Services Board, the City of Ottawa, I will respectfully leave those decisions to them. But what is clear to me is that there's still a very significant job to be done, and I think we all need to work together to make sure that
Mr. Muller, 19 days.
So no answers as to why he resigned, but still a lot of people are asking, sometimes people resign because they're upset about how things are going to continue moving forward. People will resign in protest. I don't like this strategy. I don't like where this is going. I'm going to resign in protest. Don't know if that happened. Don't really have much of an indication that Slally would be that type of a person. But who knows, right? He could have done that, and they're not going to comment on it. Now, something interesting happened here after Slally resigned. And remember, right after he resigned, Art Bell takes over, new emergency powers come into effect, and then we get this new sort of aggressive assault on the Freedom Trucker convoy. But after Slally resigned, Ottawa Police, the Services Board, they tried to kind of slot their own person in there. Let's listen to this or watch this. This comes over from CTV News. It says the Ottawa Police Board hired a new chief without competition, say sources. The chair of Ottawa Police Services Board, Diane Deans, hired a new police chief without going through the competition, somebody said. Councillor Diane Deans, who we just listened to, went to the board to fire Police Chief Peter Slally, sources said. And she and the board tried to hire a new interim chief from Southern Ontario without a competition, right? So apparently in Canada, you got to do that. You can't just go and just pick somebody you want to hire because that might lead to some cronyism.
So it's illegal.
The board moved to hire former Waterloo Police Chief Matthew Torgian. And so Diane Deans, this woman, just is really excited about this, throws Police Chief Peter Slally out on his butt, and then wants to bring in her own source. Now, no council member, according to CTV News, was told of the sole-sourced hiring. Mayor Jim Watson, remember him, the guy who was facing abuse under psychological warfare, according to him, offered Deans the chance to resign when he learned of the plan. But she refused, so there's internal dissension, sources say. As a result, Watson is leading the effort to oust her from the board, and I want to show you an example of what that looks like. 4 of the Ottawa Police Services Board's 7 members are appointed by the City Council, and the Council can vote to remove them. So Deans is currently on that board. The move comes as the protest continues on. Sources say that Deans has paid out the remainder of Slally's contract. His contract was $360,000 in 2021, and it was due to expire in 2024. So it sounds like he gets a couple of extra years for resigning. So they fire him. She wants to slot in her own person, and they're going to pay Slally, probably $750,000 to wrap that whole thing up. Now we can see that a motion got filed from this guy, Councillor Scott Moffat, and so he's trying to remove several people from the Ottawa Police Civil Services Board. So this guy, Scott Moffat, who is not this is Meltdown Meehan, you can see her. Meltdown Meehan is has always been very upset about this and sort of ranting and raving like a hysterical lunatic every time that she is sort of on one of these meetings. And Scott Moffat now wants to throw her off the board. Jim Watson is unhappy with her, and so there's internal dissension like crazy. The motion would see this guy, Councillor Eli L. Chantry, replace Deans, while Councillor Jan Harder would take over Meehan's place on the board. Under the motion, Ralston King would remain on the services, but King resigned as a member shortly after Council emerged from an in-camera meeting. So King is now leaving. Right, so this whole board is in total disarray. Susan Valaquette would replace Smallwood as a council appointee to Ottawa Police Services Board. And this is sort of a little bit more from Twitter. Diane Deans was called into Mayor Jim Watson's office, and Jim Watson said, "You have to step down." She said no. So the mayor is looking to oust her. And this is how that looked. And so you can see this is the guy I was telling you about previously, Scott Moffat, city councilor. And he submitted this motion. It's regarding the Police Services Board. And so we can run through this real quickly, but you can see that he wants, since Slally has resigned and since Chief Steve Bell, interim police chief Steve Bell, is now leading the service, he wants to reconstitute this board. He's a part of the city council. They can vote to do that. And so he's making this motion. He says Ottawa Police Services have been the lead agency. They've been charged with providing the resources. Slally's resigned. Interim Steve Bell is now in charge. The government and the city have invoked the Emergencies Act here. We've taken control over everything. Ontario is now recently designating certain people, certain things, and it goes through. But really, what they're saying is that certain people got to be booted out of here. They're talking about El Chantry. They say, well, he's very smart, right? He's got extensive national, provincial, and local experience, and other people just don't. And so you can see down here before the video cuts out is therefore it be resolved that the city council approve replacing current city council appointees as follows. And so that means Meehan, you're gone. Diane Deans, you're gone. And so, even though this little tyrannical dictator-like city council body and this police services board and basically the entire government of Canada now has realigned itself against free speech and free assembly and all of these, Western democracy sort of liberal ideas, schools of thought. Now that all of those have just been eviscerated, they're still in disarray, and now they're going at each other's throats. They're unhappy with each other's performance. City councilors want other people off the board. We've got sort of an internal battle between the mayor and Diane Deans, and so we're going to continue to follow it along. As you can see, little dictators want total control of everything, and they don't like it when other people are trying to take that away from them. They want to be in charge, as we've been watching over these last 2 years with these never-ending mandates.